If you live in a city or just want a better way to get around without having to drive everywhere, electric scooters are honestly a pretty tempting option. But most of the time they're either made for kids, have tiny little wheels, or they're just kind of lacking something for proper everyday use. So when I came across this one, I was definitely curious. This is the iScooter iX3. Straight away, it looks like a proper piece of kit, and honestly, it is. This thing's made for adults who actually want something quick, solid, and comfy enough to deal with more than just smooth rides. We're talking chunkier tyres, a beefier motor, proper suspension, and a few little extras you don't normally get at this price point. This scooter's got an 800-watt motor, which is actually pretty powerful for something in this price range. Now, the top speed is meant to be around 40 kilometers an hour, and yeah, it can definitely move. This thing is pretty rapid. It's not some slow, underpowered thing. As for range, they claim up to 40 kilometers on a full charge, but obviously that depends on a bunch of stuff. In real world use though, you're probably looking at a bit less, but still decent for daily rides or short commutes. But I guess the question is this bike really a must-have for pretty much everyone? So the burning question is this product truly worth the asking price? Well, let's first start by unboxing it. Now, unboxing is pretty straightforward. You get the scooter itself, a charger, a foam mount, user manual, and the tools you need to attach the handlebar. It took me around less than 10 minutes to set up. There was a few things you needed to screw in, but apart from that, it was pretty much ready to go out of the box. So my first impressions, yeah, it's definitely got some presence to it. The frame's aluminium, so it is built to last and folds down in 3 steps, which is super handy. It weighs about 22 kilograms, so it feels proper solid, but not ridiculously heavy or anything. The handlebars adjust, which is great if you're taller or shorter. It just makes it a bit more comfortable. One thing I did notice right away was the build quality. It doesn't feel cheap at all. The finish is clean, the parts don't rattle, and it feels like something you could actually rely on, and is a major point when taking it off-road. That's certainly not something you can say about every budget scooter out there. The folding mechanism is quick and secure. Once folded, it doesn't wobble or shift, which is great if you're lifting it into a car or storing it in tight spaces. It also stands upright without needing a kickstand, which might sound minor, but actually makes a big difference in daily use. At 22 kilograms, this isn't something you're carrying up a flight of stairs every day, but the folding mechanism is solid and quick. For storing it in a car boot or rolling it into a hallway, it's totally manageable. Plus, it stands upright when folded, which makes parking or storing it way more convenient. Now, those adjustable handlebars also make it more comfortable across different heights. Whether you're tall or on the shorter side, it doesn't force you into an awkward posture, which matters more than you'd think on longer rides. So let's talk what it's like to actually ride. In short, it has 3 speed modes, cruise control, dual disc brakes, a suspension setup with 4 shock absorbers, and a bunch of lighting features including turn signals and side LEDs. Just that alone, that's a lot of features, especially considering its price point. And honestly, it feels like a scooter that's trying to check a lot of boxes. Before we get into the details, I do want to say I've ridden a few scooters in the past, and this one's gave me a noticeable different feel right from the start. It didn't feel like I had to brace for every little bump or crack in the road. It genuinely gave me a bit more confidence to just get out and ride. No second guessing, no constant scanning the ground ahead. The iX3 doesn't feel underpowered either. You get that satisfying pull as soon as you hit the throttle, and the motor feels responsive without being too jerky. Acceleration is smooth, and I found the 3 speed modes actually useful. I usually kept it on the middle setting for balance, but it is nice having low mode for beginners and high mode when you got a space to open it up. When climbing hills or navigating uneven ground, it doesn't struggle either. It holds a consistent speed and doesn't feel like it's fighting the terrain. That's something I really did appreciate on steeper streets. I have been riding the iScooter iX3 for a few weeks now, and those 10-inch off-road pneumatic tyres have definitely changed how I use it. These aren't your usual city tyres, they've got proper tread and they're air-filled, so there's some actual give there. When I'm riding over rough pavement, brick paths or even a bit of gravel, it soaks up most of it pretty well. The combination of those pneumatic tyres and the dual suspension really makes a difference. You can ride this pretty much anywhere really. They're also a bit wider and chunkier than typical commuter scooters, and that makes a huge difference. I wouldn't call it a complete off-roader exactly, but it definitely handles light off-roading over gravel or grass way better than many other scooters at its price. The 4 shock absorbers, 2 front, 2 rear, actually kind of work. You still feel the surface underneath you, but it softens the impact enough that your knees and wrists don't get wrecked on rougher paths. Over speed bumps, small potholes, or even curb transitions, the scooter keeps you feeling in control. I have to admit, braking is another strong point. It's got front and rear disc brakes that feel responsive, not grabby. You can slow down quickly without feeling you're going to be launched off. The brake levers have a nice amount of travel too, so you're not just slamming them on and hoping for the best. So on this unit we have headlights, rear brake lights, side lights and turn signals, all bright enough to be seen, which is especially good if you plan to ride in low light. You can't deny those side lights do add some visibility, but they also look pretty slick when riding at night time. Now the app, it's not revolutionary, but it works. It gives you all the essentials: speed, battery, total distance, and also lets you lock the scooter electronically. It's also where you can switch between speed modes and enable cruise control. I won't go into too much detail here, but the app kinda does give you an idea of what you can do with it. If we go to the dashboard itself, they've kept it simple but functional. You get the real speed, your gear, cruise control status, and battery level all in one place. Even in bright daylight, I didn't have any trouble reading it, which isn't always the case on cheaper scooters. It is nice to have the flexibility of being able to use the app or using the dashboard. Both offer some flexibility. I actually really like the cruise control on this thing. It is a nice touch, especially on those longer flat rides where you just want to chill and coast without holding the throttle the whole time. Like if you're commuting along a bike path or a nice open road, just switch it on, it takes that strain off your hand. It's just one of those features that seems small at first, but the more you use it, the more you realize how handy it actually is. That said, the cruise control does kick in a bit quickly, so if you're not expecting it, it might catch you off guard the first time. Definitely worth testing out in a quieter spot before using it in traffic, just to get used to how it feels. So I guess the question remains, who is this for? Well, if you're doing short commutes, running errands, or just want something to cruise on without worrying about flimsy wheels or dodgy brakes, this is a solid option. It's ideal for adults who want something that feels a bit more serious. It's also a good one if you're into exploring parks or cycle paths, or just want a bit more stability than your average budget scooter. Now it's not perfect though, there are a few things to keep in mind. It's a bit on the heavier side, not terrible, but if you've got stairs or need to lift it regularly, you'll notice it. Rolling it's fine, but carrying it up and down stuff, not ideal if you're used to lugging things around. Charging also does take around 6 to 7 hours, so yeah, not exactly quick. And in terms of range, they say up to 40 kilometers on a full charge, but in real life usage, it's getting more like 60 kilometers on most days. Still pretty decent though, but yeah, stuff like hills, weight, speed, and even the weather can knock that down a bit. So if you are riding right up to the limit, you'll want to plan ahead. If you can look past a few disadvantages and something like this is what you've been after, then honestly, I think it's a bit of a no-brainer. You're getting a proper adult scooter without spending a fortune, and for everyday use, it holds up really well. Now, all in all, I think the iX3 isn't trying to be flashy or high-end. It's just solid, capable, and actually enjoyable to ride. If you want a scooter that feels like it's built for adults, that doesn't cost a fortune, this one certainly is a great option. And with that all said, be sure to check this product out in the link in the description. Let me know what you think. Till next time.